Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for January 12th. January 12th is the 12th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 353 days remaining to the end of the year, 354 in leap years. Let me just pause here for a moment and tell you that as I was researching today's episode, I found today's song, and from that, today's word, and then I set about to find some things that happened on January 12th in years past that I haven't already told you about. The very first story I came upon for today took over my research and really wanted to be told. So today we have a word, an item, and a song. I will put an iCard up in the corner if you want to see what other subject I've covered in previous years for January 12th. This one won't be boring, though, I promise. So grab that popcorn, settle in, and I'll tell you about it. Alrighty, today's word is nonce word. It's actually two words. It's a phrase, nonce word. Nonce word is a noun that means a word coined and used apparently to suit one particular occasion, sometimes independently by different writers or speakers, but not adopted into use generally. For example, in the phrase, "Four girls I know have become engaged today, this must be ring day," ring day is a nonce word in this instance. Nonce word is named after the word nonce, which can be a noun or an adjective, and refers to one particular or present occasion, purpose, or use, the time being, or occurring, used, or made only once, or for a special occasion. The word nonce comes to us from Middle English, the 13th century as a noun, and in the 1800s as an adjective. I didn't find a timeline on the term nonce word, but I imagine it came into use in the 1900s. Nonce word. And with that, Veronica Yvette Bennett was born August 10, 1943 in New York City. She went by the name of Ronnie and formed a singing group with her sister and cousin in the late 1950s. This trio of girl singers called themselves the Ronettes. They signed on with Phil Spector's Phillies label in 1963 and did pretty well with such hits as Be My Baby, Baby I Love You, and Walking in the Rain. Wow, what a flashback of memories with those songs. In 1965, the Ronettes were voted the third top singing group in England behind the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Ronnie and Phil got married in 1968, and that's when she came to be known as Ronnie Spector. Unfortunately, Phil was apparently insanely jealous and possessive, maybe a bit of a control freak, because he did not want Ronnie touring or making records or even leaving the house. They separated in 1972 and divorced in 1974. She tried to revive her singing career after that, but was somewhat hampered by being seen as an oldies act. Even so, she did have a loving and appreciative following. For example, in 1986, she was featured in Eddie Money's hit Take Me Home Tonight. Things picked up for her a bit. The late Amy Winehouse was a huge fan and greatly influenced by Ronnie and her style. She emulated Ronnie's look. After Amy's death, Ronnie released a version of Back to Black as a tribute to Ms. Winehouse and also to benefit addiction treatment. Ronnie Spector married her manager, Jonathan Greenfield, in 1982, and it looks like things worked out much better for them. They had a couple of sons and apparently much less traumatic drama, and they were still married right up until the end. Ronnie Spector passed away on January 12, 2022, at the age of 78 after a short battle with cancer. Back in the 1950s, a fellow named Ahmet Ertegun wrote a song called Lovey Dovey, performed by a group called the Clovers in 1954. This song contains the lines, "You're the cutest thing that I ever did see. I really love your peaches, want to shake your tree. Lovey-dovey, lovey-dovey, lovey-dovey all the time." If these lines ring a bell of familiarity, you may have heard them in a song called The Joker by Steve Miller Band. In addition to these borrowed words, the Joker also makes use of a nonce word, pompatus, which Steve Miller borrowed from a song called The Letter. Now you might be thinking, like I did, of The Letter by the Box Tops, but no, this is a 1950s song by a group, Vernon Green and the Medallions. They coined a nonce word for this song, which Steve Miller misheard, translating it as the nonce word pompatus in The Joker. All that to say that The Joker by Steve Miller Band hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on January 12, 1974. Links in the description. So many links in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include the link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. I have an extra word in there. January 2nd. Do that one again. There's a little birdie on my front porch. Alrighty, back to work.